absolutely is one. Everybody put your hands together for Pat King.
Can you hear me all the way in the back? I said, can you hear me all the way in the back? That's right, my name is Patrick King and I came all the way out from Alberta, but it has not been the first time I've been here. We've been here 2 years ago as of today. It was our 2-year anniversary where Alberta got together as a province and drove a convoy transport all the way across this country to get this Canada back to being where it needed to be. Guess what happened? Nothing. We did all of that for nothing. Now they're telling us you gotta be good people, you gotta wear a mask, it's about a pandemic, but you can't go to work. Well, now we're getting hit again. And now everybody in this country is standing back, getting hit left and right. When are you gonna stop getting hit?
And those who have served overseas, and the viewpoint that we all here have, that we are living under some guise of tyranny. Our economy is being weakened and we are being put on our knees so that communism becomes a tempting treat. We got people being put inside camps where they're not even allowed to access their families. And it's the first time the Canadian government's been filed a lawsuit. A cease and desist order. So I know I'm not alone in this understanding that we are being led to communism and we are being led to UN agendas. And be no fool, it doesn't matter, conservative, liberal, NDP, they all sign on to the same agenda. It's a different form of... So I don't, you agree, Pat said separation sentiment in Alberta is real. I grew up in Alberta, and I'm a 4th generation veteran, but I grew up in Alberta. And I've never heard separation spoke of so much in the limited conversations you're allowed to have outside your homes. So, when you got to look at that. We are a province sanctioned like Iraq was in the war my dad fought to liberate the Kuwaitis. We are literally being put on our knees so that communism, like I said, is a tempting treat. And to a lot of youngsters, this is a tempting treat. Our children are being told this is essential and this isn't. Our children are being shown my government can tell me to do whatever I want and I will do it. They will comply. These people work for us, man. They work for us. And
they're supposed to uphold our rights, not take them away, right?
Unfortunately, Trudeau's dad changed our constitution in 1982 to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which has an immediate loophole in Section 1. Go figure, we used to be under the British North American Act of 1867. If you're a gun owner, look it up, you'll love it. I don't know what else to tell you. You're here, you understand it. We need to do something. I have friends who have died for this. Their life stopped at 24. That's 17 years ago. I think of the life I've lived since then and what they've missed, man. Do not forget what they gave you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for showing the support. And understand that separation's not a threat. It will be a referendum in 2 years. Equalization is already a referendum on municipal ballots in Alberta. And do not let CBC fool you. We want out of here.
Sean, thank you so much for your service. I got you. This is a man who fought for this country. He fought for your freedoms. He fought for the freedoms of your children, for education, for jobs. This man lost people. They lost their lives for this country. We deserve respect. They deserve respect. Every single Canadian should be out here showing these men respect. And it is so disheartening to me that he has to come here and remind you, for those of you who are not present on the Hill, we better see you rise. Rise up! Rise up! Rise up! Rise up! Rise up! This country belongs to its people. And it's about time that we give this country back to its people. The next person I'm going to introduce has the ability to do that. I'm sorry, we just got a text message. Rob's wife, Josie, is suffering from ALS. She just had a wipeout at the hotel. So I'm sorry, but they got to rush her to the hospital. Literally just came out on the message. So our thoughts are with him. But I'm going to encourage everybody to check out the Republican Party of Canada. He refuses to bow down to Elections Canada register because he refuses to swear an oath to the crown, because he believes it's time that somebody swears an oath to the people of this country. So please do check it out. I personally support the Republican Party of Canada because I support the Bill of Rights of Canada and I support the people. The Constitution of Canada and the Charter can be infringed upon in certain aspects from this government, but the Bill of Rights cannot. And it doesn't matter what agency you work for. This bill was brought forth and passed by people. There is a difference between people and persons. When you get pulled over, what does an officer ask you? He says, do you have any identification on your person? Because you are not a people until you claim your sovereignty. The Bill of Rights was passed by people, and in our Constitution it clearly states, no law shall supersede the will of the people. Are we persons or are we people? That's right. Listen closely. Section 1, it is hereby recognized and declared that in Canada there have existed and shall continue to exist without discrimination by reason of race, national origin, color, religion, or sex, the following human rights and fundamental freedoms, namely, Section A, the right of the individual to life, liberty, security of the person, enjoyment of property, and the right not to be deprived thereof except by the due process of law. Let me explain what that means. Unless you commit a crime, do what thou wilt. B, the right of the individual to equality before the law and the protection of the law. I, right now, am protesting. I am expressing my rights as written in the Bill of Rights. That is why I can hold this microphone in my hand, regardless of conditions. There is no one that can infringe upon it, for if they do, they're infringing upon the Bill of Rights. C, freedom of religion. D, freedom of speech.
That's a good one.
E, freedom of assembly and association. And freedom of the press.
Yeah. Woo.
Our Deputy Prime Minister is the granddaughter of the man who is responsible for all the propaganda under Hitler. When she took office, there was a $600 million bailout paid to our mainstream media, and ever since then, they have been scripted. This is not a new method, folks. This is the same immortal vampire of fascism that has been haunting the free world since we have existed.
Yes.
Our kids, look at our children. 900 kids in North America in the last year have committed suicide under the age of 15. This is unacceptable.
Yes.
Shame.
These are our children. And if that's not enough, how shameful is it that your parents who have lived their lives working, doing whatever it takes to provide a life for you full of opportunity and freedom, are made to die alone behind a window. This is un-Canadian. We will not take this anymore. We are of the right to retain and instruct counsel without delay. So why was I held for 29 hours in isolation by Toronto police? Shame! Of the remedy by way of habeas corpus for the determination of the validity of his detention and for his release of the detention is not lawful. Authorize a court, tribunal, commission, board, or other authority to compel a person to give evidence if he is denied counsel, protection against self-incrimination, or other constitutional safeguards. Deprive a person of the right to a fair hearing in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice for the determination of his rights and obligations. Deprive a person charged with a criminal offense of the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. When they arrested me in Toronto, they said they were arresting me for the possible repetition of a crime. Let me explain what that means, guys. That means that somebody within the Toronto Police Force thought they were psychic. And they were so afraid that I was going to come within either 10 meters of Dundas Square, 100 meters of Queen's Park, or I was going to hold a microphone in my hand, that they thought we should arrest her and lock her up for 29 hours with no food or water. Throw her into a wall a few times and see what happens. Try and scare her a little bit. Make an example of that young lady. Guess what, guys? I don't get deterred. I get determined. Deprive a person charged with a criminal offense of the right to be presumed innocent until proved guilty, according to law, in a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal, or the right to reasonable bail without just cause. They're not allowed to deprive a person of the right. Switch. Sorry. Un momento, por favor. I am bilingual, by the way. Multilingual. Deprive a person of the right to the assistance of an interpreter in any proceedings in which he is involved, in which he is a party or a witness, before a court, commission, board, or other tribunal, if he does not understand or speak the language in which such proceedings are conducted. Go on to the internet.
I'm not used to handsome people like that without any mask, so forgive me when I jump on the occasion here.
You guys are cool. You guys, like,
Yeah, you look good, man.
We're coming from Toronto and shit has gotten stupid there. So, I know. I know. Like, look at these police officers. They're so much better than the ones in Toronto.
She's an engineer. She has 2 kids. She has a good job. They arrested her.
I know. It's all these bars. Yeah, it's like fun. They're wearing all those like a stupid face.
So there was a Polish guy. He came into the Ontario airport, and I want to share with you this briefly before I finish, that because he's Polish, because he's lived through the communist regime in the past, he had a good idea of how to stand up. And I think we should take some lessons from some of our Polish people, our Romanian people, those who have faced it. So they told him at the airport he had to take a PCR test. He says, not on your freaking life. But he used a different word, okay? But I'm a Christian, so I try not to swear. I've been losing that battle lately. Anyways, so they said, you got to take the PCR. And he said, no, I'm not going to do it. Then they said, you got to go to quarantine. He said, not on your life. I'm not going to quarantine. They got super mad. And so they walked off. They huffed and puffed. They gave him the stink eye. You know, they talked down to him. They were mean. And he said, I'm not going. And they came back, you got to go to quarantine. He said, I want to go to jail.
Just like I said.
Just like you said, yes. And he's not afraid of jail, he's Polish. He's gonna die or fight for his freedom. One or the other. Give me liberty or give me death. So the cops got so mad because he wanted to go to jail, they huffed off again. They let him sit there for 2 hours. They came back. They said, go home. So that's all we need to do. Once in a lifetime, you might come to a place where you gotta stand up and fight.
Yes.
We didn't know we'd have to do that in Canada. I'm so sorry, I did not know that.
Organization initiative called Open Up Your Business. Go to openupyourbusiness.ca and check it out. Yeah, big round of applause for Dermot Pomeroy. Couldn't be here, but bless his heart, he's here in spirit. Also, Norman Traversy. I know that he's here somewhere in the crowds. I know you guys are not looking out for him, really. You know, he is here, and bless his soul for everything that he's doing to fight for our freedoms. So the parliamentary security knows him well, so do Ottawa Police. And I'll have you know that he is the owner of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and I'll explain that another day. But, and that's not a joke. The next person I am going to invite up here to speak, I am so proud to introduce. Everybody knows who Vlad Sobolev is. Now, Vlad is the founder of Hugs Over Masks, Hug Nation, and we are allessential.ca. He is my brother. I started off in this movement with him and Chris Skye of Mothers Against Distancing. And let me tell you, these boys have become more blood to me than my own brothers. They have fought for an entire year straight, relentlessly, without a break, for the freedoms of Canadians. Vlad couldn't be here with us today. He's in Vancouver fighting the fight over there, leading the marches every single Sunday. But we have a new leader for the Ontario chapter of Hugs Over Masks. And I am so proud to introduce Hattie. Everybody, a big round of applause. This man has been active with us for months upon months. I am proud to call him my brother. This is Hattie.
Thanks, Ellie. Thank you for the introduction. Ottawa, Canada! Let me hear your humanity! Are we here for freedom, yes or yes? Yes! That's right. Another group of people that I'm here for is those without a voice. So a big thing for me is the children. Especially lately with the rules that have been changed in schools, with mandatory masking in some places in Ontario all the way down to the age of kindergarten. We're talking about 4-year-old children that are going to be spending all day long in a mask. This is not okay. The schools try to make things right by talking about mask breaks. What does a child need a break for? They need the mask to be gone completely. Healthy people do not wear masks. If you look at the science, there has been no proof of asymptomatic transmission anywhere.
That's right.
Masks are ineffective and they are unsafe. We as humans are not supposed to sit in our own waste. These are face diapers. We need to breathe fresh air and expel our carbon dioxide, sorry. Science, right? So, for me, that's a great first step, is to take off the face panty and be a human being. Smile at your fellow brothers and sisters. Dare I say, hug a stranger.
I love hugging.
There is something that each and every one of us can do. It makes me deeply happy and gives me all the courage I need to see all of your faces out here of all ages standing shoulder to shoulder against tyranny. But protesting is not the only form of non-compliance. There are many things you can do. You can spread information. You can support those who are. You can talk to those close to you that will be willing to listen. Those are all forms of protesting. Those are all forms of non-compliance. Until we as adults stand up for the children, nothing will change.
Rise up!
You put yourself in danger by standing up. But by not standing up, we are putting our children and grandchildren in even greater danger.
That's right! That's right! Rise up!
Enough is enough!
Enough is enough!
Rise up, Canada! Go back to your humanity. Go back to being a proper citizen and family member. Go back to connecting with God.
Amen! Amen! Amen!
We are all here on earth at this moment in time for a reason. Look inwards and find that. Find what you are here for and start. Let's make today the start of the great awakening of Canada. Reach out to whoever you can and spread knowledge and awareness and spread love.
Yes! Enough is enough!
Enough is enough! We can start that message of love right here and right now. I would like everybody to hug somebody in your vicinity and show them love. Human connection is what we need. Love is what we need. Each other is what we need.
God calls us to be good, not to be nice. God calls us to be good.
Enough is enough!
We have all that we need. Now let's band together and use our weapons.
That's right!
Hattie from Hugs Over Masks, everybody! Speaking of the children, can I get our children to come up here?
Okay, and here we have Zoe and Bridget that are going to be talking a little bit. Are you guys representing?
They're representing all these kids.
Let's go! They're representing the youth.
Can we get some space, guys? Give the kids some space. Hi everyone. I'm Bridget, and we have all of our kids here. Well, they're not my kids, but they're my friends. I don't know. I don't really have anything to say, but I do have a message. And well, I'm 15 years old, and I'm 15 years old, and in the last 43 weeks, every single weekend of my teenage years, I've had to protest for my freedoms, and it's unfortunate, and it's upsetting. And on top of that, we've had our lives taken away. We're not allowed to go to school. Okay, we have a right to education. Thank you. They've taken away our social lives. Kids are turning into glossed over things. They walk around, they look down, they can look at their phones, and that's about all. They're not humans anymore. They're not able to look at somebody, smile, say hi. When I walk down the street and I say hi to people that are walking by, they look at me like the neighborhood plague rat, and they swerve away and they like to run onto the street because that's safer than walking next to me. So, we have to watch this happen. We're kids.
Listen up, Trudeau!
Children. We're telling you to listen to us because you're not listening to the people. That's your job. You're not. So listen to the kids then. You're making us watch our friends kill themselves. You're making us watch our parents lose their livelihoods. They can't feed the kids anymore. They can't have a house anymore. And you have to let us just be okay with that? That's our normal? It's encouraged? And you expect us to stand by with that. And especially because it's politically correct. Because, it's our job to be here, to coincide with everything, and to conform. That's not what we're here. We're here with individuality. And we have to be listened to. This is a democracy. It's not. It's unfortunate, and I know that this is being heard by at least one person who hasn't heard it before, or they have and it hasn't reached yet. One person. So suicide rates in kids has, I believe, in 2020 has increased by 25%, ages 8 to 15.
This is what Captain and I fight for. Yes, it is difficult because now both Facebook and Instagram have banned my live feature. So we're on VK, what else? We're on Twitch, a couple of other things. We're on D-Live as well, and Bob Crush. So I want to thank all of you out there for going to the alternate platforms to watch us. Now what Laura says is correct. They're hammering small business people because what they want is we go out of business, put the landlords who now don't have customers or clients out of business, so they can rip down those buildings, take away all the character in town, and put up high-rise condos, specifically to shove as many people downtown as possible. So, and we know that Vancouver's been doing this for a while, yes. And now Toronto's doing this, and even bringing in brand new train lines on Eglinton Avenue to keep people in the downtown core. What advice do you have for people that don't want to be a part of that? Go ahead.
Well, I want you to know something behind the scenes. That those big, they're the travel things that on trains, like they used to be something like $700. They've shot up in price to $1,700 per container. That's going to affect right. That's it. And sea containers, and it's going to affect our food. And what we don't see happening around, in the background is we all think, oh, maybe it's
what Laura says is 100% correct. You don't work for the government, people, and the government is actually not allowed to make demands on your time. You are the ones who can profit from your own labor. But the other thing too is just because you are an immigrant to this country does not mean there's a different set of laws for you. If I don't have to wear a mask, a new immigrant does not have to wear a mask. A cab driver does not have to wear a mask, just like journalists don't have to wear a mask. You have to look at the language, everyone. They're using clever language to try to trick you into thinking that there are laws that say you have to wear a mask. There are no laws right now that say you must wear a mask, but there are many that say you don't have to wear one. Take the damn thing off. Open your business back up before you are out of business. If you need our help, contact us. If you want to open your business, we will come and support you. We'll bring everybody with us that we possibly can. Canada, your government is at war with you. Stand up and go back to war with them, but you don't even have to hit them. All you have to do is defy them. You can win this war through defiance. They do not know what to do, so they send cops out. You saw them take away Adam Skelly's business in Toronto, Adamson Barbecue. They gave him back the building, and they're going to be giving this guy over $1 million. I promise you that, because they know they made a mistake. You can't steal a building, just like they cannot make you do anything that you're told. You don't have a contract with the Canadian government. You don't have a contract with the police or bylaw officers. If you decide you want a contract with them, it's your right to do so. If you don't want to, walk away. Don't give them any freedom over you, your person, or your mind.
And I'll close with this, Kevin, but just in case you missed the story of this Polish guy, he's Canadian now. He gets back into our country, and they say you have to take a PCR test, and he said no. And then they said you got to go to quarantine, and he said no, I will not. He said you take me to jail. Well, the cops didn't know what to do with him. They went off. They let him sit there for 2 hours. They came back. They said just go home. Just go home. That's what we gotta do. We gotta defy. But we can do it respectfully. Your Majesty, we will not bow. Respectful defiance.
Hey, little Lord, you know why that happened, everybody? Because if you look at what Justin Trudeau has written on the Canada.ca website about going to quarantine, you know what it says? That if you don't cooperate, you may get a $750,000 fine. Not you will. You may, I don't know, perhaps, could be, possibly go to jail for 6 months. Not you will. The cops let the guy go because they know that he's not going to go to jail. They know that they can't even put him into a courthouse for that. So defy everything. When you get off the plane, walk out the door and go home and be with your family. You are Canadians after all. Defy everything and enjoy life. We love you all, Canada. Thank you all for being here, everybody. Thank you. You are
We get this position, Doug Ford, right? John Tory. When they come up, the brainwashing has been very subtle, right? They have quietly hypnotized and submissively indoctrinated millions of people to buy into this new hysteria fear port from our governments everywhere. Am I correct? And what a lot of people don't realize, I just found out myself, that the elected governments, they, like the John Tory, when again, they're in front of the teleprompter. You can smile, everybody. We're here to celebrate today. Freedom! But when they're in front of the teleprompters, of course, they're aided by behavioral scientists that tell them what to say, how to say it. Doug Ford, he's got his claw hands. They hardly move. He's talking like a robot. Doug Ford can do so much better. And is he being blackmailed? I think he is. Do you think so? I think so. A lot of the parties, my friends, it's just like in the United States, a lot of congressmen have control files on them. That's why it's up to us, my friends, to continue to provide truth and transparency and educate others. Am I right? If we don't educate, we're going to be enslaved, like Dr. Shiva says, right? Do we want our precious children
to be slaves for an evil technocratic transhumanism agenda that's on its way. That's right, and we're not going to allow it. We're not going to allow a Bill Gates or a Tony Fauci, these puppets for elements of the CIA. We're not going to let them destroy our country, or other countries for that matter, are we? Or the planet. Now, I heard Belarus was mentioned, right? The president of Belarus, he had over 400 doctors, there were 1,400 healthcare officials apparently, I think, and they